The league stage of Vodacom Super Rugby has come to an end. 18 weeks of Super Rugby action means that we know who the top two places are going to, and of course the qualifiers are going to be. It started on Friday morning, and that match confirming that the Highlanders are going to be at home for their qualifying match, beating the Blues, who went down heavily in what was Kevin Mialamu's last game at Eden Park for the Blues. The Melbourne Rebels went down to the Western Force on Saturday morning. The Brumbies were not able to do anything against a Crusaders team that seems to have found its mojo late on in the competition, and the Chiefs going down pretty heavily to a Hurricane side that continues to belt out the results. The Waratahs, and a big one for them, cementing that top two place and a home semi-final. They took on the Reds, and of course we saw the Bulls going down pretty heavily, and there'll be a lot of disappointment in Pretoria to that loss against the Cheetahs. The final match saw the Sharks manage to put some smiles on faces with a wonderful result against what was essentially a B Stormers side. Well, as a result of those matches, the Hurricanes still with 66 points, head and shoulder above absolutely everybody else. The Waratahs will also have a week off, having secured a top two place, but the Stormers will be at home in their qualifier next weekend against the Brumbies. The Highlanders are also at home and will be taking on the Chiefs, and that's how it stands in the top six. And in seventh position, it was the Crusaders, who I mentioned. They seem to have woken up a little bit too late. A wonderful result by the Lions, who weren't expected to be where they are. But for the Bulls, the Sharks and the Cheetahs, disappointment from a South African point of view. Well, let's look ahead then what we can see next weekend as the Vodacom Super Rugby Final Series gets underway. It's the Highlanders, as I mentioned, at home to the Chiefs, and we'll see the DHL Stormers taking on the Brumbies at Newlands next weekend. That will be followed by the two semi-finals, and then, as I mentioned, the two home semi-finalists already confirmed. Confirmation of the kickoff times for next week's qualifiers, and the first taking place from 9 o'clock, the build-up in studio as the Highlanders prepare to take on the Chiefs, and of course the South African match with the Stormers up against the Brumbies. That will get going at 4:30, kickoff just after 5 o'clock. Thank you very much for joining us this weekend, and let's all support the Stormers. Cheers.